Hello and welcome to Getting It Done, a podcast about music, education, and life lessons. I'm your host, Tim Rausenberger, and today is Thursday, September 26th, 2019. This is episode 316. Preparing for Adulthood, the Big Transition. Well, we decided to start off tonight's episode with a big transition and a big bang. March to Salvation by A Tinting V16. He's also known as Austin. He is one of my students, and he had approached me quite some time ago about possibly playing some of his music right here on the podcast. And there you go, composed from start to finish by A Tinting V16. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he did all of that on GarageBand. I think so. So for those of you out there in Apple and Mac land, if you have GarageBand, you've never used it before, check it out. It's a super powerful program that comes free with the OS platforms. And you can really do a lot of amazing things with it. So a big, wonderful hello to all of you tonight. Hello to Charlize, Julie, Jared, Esther, Jennifer. Those are the people I can see so far. If you have not gotten involved in the chat yet, please feel free to do so, because this is going to be quite the episode with lots of different things that are going to be discussed. I have a huge list of things I think are very important in terms of preparing for adulthood. All I've heard for the past 2 weeks has been I've just had so many former students and friends of mine who have said, I wish this type of episode, I had this when I was a teenager and when I was in college, and that was the whole purpose of why I wanted to do it. And I'll get into some more of the reasonings, some more of the rationale. I do want to quickly explain what happened last week, and I hope it never happens to any of you. So in order for me to get on to my podcast each week, there are a few different things that I have to do. One thing is I have to be on some type of a device, namely a laptop or something that's going to have a webcam. And I had that. Everything was all good to go for the episode, because this was episode 316. It was supposed to take place last week. Last week was our first week ever. We did not have a live episode. I only had one evening available in my week to do an episode. And on that week, when I had everything all set with my webcam, and my computer had been working fine the entire day, right as I was about to go online, Google Chrome would not open. It simply would not open. I don't know why. I don't know what happens, but it was showing on my desktop, and it was there. It was installed, but it would not open up. And I was getting basically an error that was causing the application to not open, even though the computer thought it was open, and it was trying to repair itself. That didn't happen. I had to do an uninstall and reinstall. The whole process took nearly 3 hours. It was a real pain in the neck. So I hope that the stuff that I went through, if you ever have that happen where a program, it says it's running but it's not running and you just can't seem to do anything, just go to your good old-fashioned YouTube, find that video. I did. I found all the steps I needed to. It was a complete pain in the rear, but there was no way we were going to be doing an episode at like midnight. So it was just best to postpone it for a week where we could all recoup, where I was able to get my computer in order. And that's what happened. So life happens. And that's part of what tonight's episode is going to be about in terms of this big transition into adulthood. Okay. So why the episode? Why do this? Well, I think, first of all, I think that very, very few people even talk about this. And I think that uh, actually, I don't think I know, having done enough research, there are people that will write incessant articles on this and the things that they think they know they're important. And the biggest issue is that I think a lot of people are not reading those articles. If the articles are out there as to what you need to do to be able to transition, the thing is that a lot of people are just they're not finding them. So what I've chosen to do is to produce now something in a video and hopefully be able to give you some relatable experiences, some things that you're going to be able to take with you from my own personal experiences and my own recommendations based on things that I've encountered myself, things I have seen my students, other friends go through as they make the big transition. It became more and more apparent as I had students who were graduating college. It was not after they graduated high school. It was after they graduated college. They'd be 22 years old-ish, and they would say to me, this is very, very hard making this transition to becoming an adult, even though society recognizes adults as being 18, to which I say that is completely and utterly ridiculous. It really is ridiculous, because what happened, first of all, when you turn 18, uh, everything changes. Everything completely, totally changes in terms of what you can do and what you can't do. There are things, and I don't want to go into all the things that you could do when you are a minor by law under the age of 18, that you could completely, totally get away with. They would not hurt any element of your life. You could commit some awful sins. And there have been many, many people out there who, the way that it is viewed is it is a child who's not exercising good judgment because he or she is a child. That would mean someone who is 17 years old and 11 months is considered by law to be a child, to be considered a minor. So that person is not able to possibly exercise any judgment. Now, we know that that's ridiculous. It's complete and absolute hogwash. I look at the people in this chat over here. There are people that are very, very young who are in this chat who do exercise outstanding judgment in certain types of areas. I'll go even one step further. They exercise judgment far superior to some of the adults out there. And that's just a cold, hard fact. It's reality. And I see so many adults out there who all of a sudden, because that person is 18, that person's 23, person's 31, that they suddenly deserve to be respected because they are that age. You don't. And that is something that, I don't care what age you are, that is something that is earned. You're not suddenly respected because you're the elder. I can't disagree with people more when it comes to that. And when you take that type of approach with other people, it's almost never going to work out well for you. Now, in terms of making this big change, let's address some of the issues that we have on the table. And I'm going to go in many types of orders here that you need to think about. I don't have I don't have a cookie like a cook. I'll be okay. Blah, 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 reset. I don't have a cookie cutter type of strategy here to be able to say that this is the step-by-step process you need to go through. These are really in no order at all. So first of all, the most important thing, and I've said this way too many times, is that throughout the course of your life, things will go wrong. Period. End of story. Things are always going to go wrong. If you have not figured this out by now, I don't care what age you are, then you need to wake up. Things are always going to go wrong. That's just the way it is. If you have a car, if you drive, there's always going to be traffic. Well, I should say there's always going to be traffic in most areas of the world. If you live in New Jersey, you're going to have traffic. You deal with it. Have I complained about traffic? Yes. Did I complain about traffic as recently as today? Yes. Was it a productive conversation? No, it was not productive. The traffic over the course of the past few weeks has been nothing short of horrific in the state of New Jersey. Today it took 2 hours to get home from work, and I still have no idea why. None of them seem to be accidents. It is what it is, folks. And we can sit here and we can complain about it and go on and on. The reality is that things are going to go wrong. Now, we need to now take the things will always go wrong, and we need to move that into the area where that affects you as an adult. So, we are going to talk a lot tonight about money and about finances, because it is remarkable to me how absolutely clueless most people are when it comes to money management. I have no idea how students go through how many years of public school education and they don't come out with the knowledge that they need to be properly armed to live life as an adult. So let me give you my first wake-up call. It was my freshman year. It was my freshman year in college, and I got my first credit card. Now, how did I get the credit card? Well, I was 18 years old. I was walking on my college campus, and Discover had a promotion for any students at my university, and they had all these different types of things that you could do. So I decided to get a credit card. Now, credit card is a wonderful thing to have. People will say, "Oh no, I don't want a credit card. I want a debit card." I couldn't disagree more with that. But there are reasons why some people would prefer a debit card. Now, the difference between a credit card and debit card, just to be clear, a debit card, of course, means that when you do whatever transaction it's going to be, when that transaction is executed, the second it's done, the money comes out of your account immediately. So with a debit card, it's tied to a bank account, checking account, savings account, whatever. So if you have $2,000 in the bank and you have just decided that you want to drop $200 on a pair of shoes, now you're down to $1,800 in your bank account. And just like this, boom, just like this, all of a sudden, we are gone from 2,000 to 1,800, and the money is now gone. It's gone. That's it. Okay, so it's essentially that piece of plastic was like holding cash in your hands. It's exactly what it was, because the cash is now, it's gone instantaneously, as opposed to a credit card. Okay, so charging things with a credit card. So with my Discover card, I didn't realize how important it was to get one of those. And when the time comes that you're able to get a credit card, get one. And what you need to do is you need to make small purchases, nothing major, just small purchases. Put them on the credit card. And here's the most beautiful thing about credit cards. You charge the item, whatever it is. So now you charge your $200 shoes. Guess what, my friends? If you don't know already, and I had dozens of students over the past 2 weeks I've spoken to who did not know this. When you charge the item, $200 item, you don't pay for it right away. You just don't. It goes on to your statement, your running statement, and it will stay on there for a month until the end of that particular cycle. So let's just say that you have made a charge of those shoes. And let's say you did it on September 1st. So let's put some dates down here. Okay, so on September 1st, you decide the $200 Jordans are happening. Okay, so we got the $200 pair of Jordan shoes. Yay. Okay. Why? Because I felt like choosing Jordans. I don't know. That's what apparently to appropriately represent, you need to have Jordans. Okay. So September 1st, you decide to charge. You're charging your Jordan shoes. Now, on September 1st, that's the first day of your billing cycle. Now, that is if the credit card has it that way. Your first day of your billing cycle might be on the 7th of the month. The credit card company makes that decision. You don't get to choose. They make the decision for you. Okay, so September 1st, that's when your billing cycle begins. Your billing cycle is going to end on approximately October 1st. Okay, approximately October 1st. So here's how it works, my friends. The cycle ends on October 1st, 31 days later. Then what happens after it ends, you are then going to get a statement. Now you can get it online or you can get it through the mail. So the statement comes and it will say pay by X date. Now the date is probably going to be, I would guesstimate, let's go with like probably about October 28th. So you need to make a payment of any type by October 28th. Here's the kicker. You don't have to pay the full $200. I think that's worth repeating. You do not have to pay the full $200. You could pay a minimum payment. Now, the minimum payment could be $10, $15. You just got your $200 whatever, whether it was the shoes or anything else, you just got those. And notice the date too. You got them on September 1st. And on October 28th, 2 months later, you can put in a payment. Now, here's the thing, and Esther says that she knows this. Here's what you may not know. And this is the cold hard reality of what happened to me. But this is still important to do because if you do have the $200 available, you want to put it onto a credit card. Why? Because you want to start to build a credit rating. You want to start to get a credit rating going. That credit rating is extremely important to your future. Very, very important to your future. If you're going to get an apartment, if you're going to buy a house, if you're going to apply for loans, if you're going any types of applications that you're going to submit, what these companies will do, they're going to run a credit report on you. They're going to do a credit check. And they're going to see what your credit history is like. If you have made even the smallest purchases and you just pay them on time, even if you didn't pay it in full, even if you did just the minimum payments, if you just make every payment on time, you are telling that company, that corporation, that institution, I am responsible and I am not going to screw you out of your money. I'm going to make sure that I pay you back. You have demonstrated that. Now, when you don't make the payments, that's when you run into problems. That's when that's what causes people to have bad credit scores. This is what happens when you get a ticket. You decide not to pay off the ticket and you try to avoid it as if they're not going to catch you. This is when you have a bill, whatever the bill may happen to be, a utility bill for your home, or you have a credit card bill, and you decide, you make the choice, a bad choice, to not pay it. It's going to come back to bite you because it's going to affect your credit rating. So, how did this affect me, and how did I get my wake-up call? Wake-up call happened like this. It was a very, very similar timeline. So on September 1st, I had gotten my Discover card. Okay, so on September 1st, I went out and I bought a stereo system. Oh no, my friends, this was not just any old stereo system. I dropped some serious, serious money on my stereo system. My stereo system that I have, which is on the other side of the room, maybe I'll show it to you sometime, but my stereo system, all told, I didn't buy all the things at the time, but at that time, I had paid a total of $5,000 for my stereo system. This is a high-end system. It sounds amazing. And all the music that I love so much, nothing sounds better than, in my opinion, than the way this stereo system sounds. Now, I dropped that money. This was when I was in college. And I had a friend of mine. He was awesome. He was an audiophile, someone who was really, really into listening and evaluating stereo systems. He helped me out. He says, you have to buy this. And I have never regretted it. And that was a long, long time ago. Thank you again, Ron. So $5,000 stereo system. This is, drives me crazy. I can't believe that I did this. In the words of somebody here in the chat, and you know who you are, I'm going to do it. Okay. It's a person there. So I'm going to use that sound. I had the $5,000 in my bank account. I had saved that money. I had the money to pay it. And yes, I was paying my college tuition too. I did a lot of saving. Ready for this? The payment came. Okay, so the pay by October 28th came. And when I got that, the minimum payment I had to make at that time was $300. Okay, so I had to make a minimum payment of $300. I said, you know what? I know exactly what I'm going to do. I've got this. What I don't have to give the full $5,000 right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock off some of the principal amount. That's the main balance that I had on the credit card, which was only that stereo system. I didn't buy anything else, just the $5,000 on the credit card. So I said, you know what? Let me put down, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not going to pay it all off. I don't need to. I have this money, but you know what? No, I'm not going to pay it off. I'm going to do a $2,500 payment. So I made a $2,500 payment, and that was made. I felt great. I said, I'm knocking off half it now, and then next month I'll pay the other half. Good to go. So I knew, however, and this is why credit card companies are in business, because no company is just going to give you money if they're not going to be able to get something back in return. So in this particular case, a credit card company, they have interest. And if you don't pay your balance, they're going to charge you interest. Now, if you don't pay the balance at all, you make no payment, they're going to charge you interest, and they're also going to slap on a late fee. And the late fee is usually at least in the $20 to $30 range. Sometimes the late fees can be even more depending on the credit card. Okay, so I make a $2,500 payment. So I'm saying to myself, I'm good to go. $5,000 minus $2,500. I have $2,500 remaining. Yay, $2,500. They're going to charge me interest on the $2,500. I know this. I'm doing it knowingly. So I calculated it and I figured out how much the $2,500 was going to be. I can't remember the exact amount for the interest, what it was going to be for the $2,500 it was going to be remaining. So a month passes. Now I don't use the credit card. I still have the $2,500 sitting there. And back then, there was no internet. So I had to wait for the statement to come. The only other way I could have found out was if I called on the phone. I could have found out this information had I called on the phone, but I didn't. So I wait for my next statement to come. Next statement comes along, and this was on November 1st. This was the next statement. And again, the reason why I'm telling the story is this was my difficult lesson on money management. And this is why I'm doing this episode. It is because of this. No one explained this to me. No one told me about this. And I don't want this to happen to you. And these are the steps you need to start taking in terms of becoming an adult and making good decisions. So the next statement comes on November 1st. Now, I have calculated, I think it was going to be something along the lines of the total amount that I was going to owe. I think it was going to be something like, I don't know what it was. I want to say it was like $90 or something. That's what I thought that I was going to owe. So I thought the amount that I was going to owe is going to be $2,590. This might be completely wrong. This was many years ago, and I don't remember what my interest rate was. Guess what happened? I still owed the $2,500. So I still owed that. But guess what? When they calculated the interest, they did not do it on the $2,500. They did it on the full amount that I owed. And that's the thing that credit card companies never explain to you. Well, they'll explain it to you after the fact. Or they probably have it written in the teeny tiny fine print. So $5,000 was what the interest was. It was actually on the $5,000. And I clearly remember the interest was in like the $300 range. And I owed this much. And there was not a thing I could do about it. Which actually is not completely true. Because I'm going to give you some more advice tonight. A second that you get a bill of any kind from any company, and there's so many of you out there, there are adults in this chat who don't do this. If you see something on your bill you don't like, call them. You have to get somebody on the phone. Call them up and say, you know what? I messed up. I missed a payment or whatever. Can you help me out? This has never happened before. Don't just pay it. Don't do that. Call someone up on the phone, beg for forgiveness. Hey, listen, could you let me just this one time? More times, more often than not. And by the way, if they say no, ask for their supervisor or just hang up on them and then just call them back again. I have called companies 10 times until I finally, the 10th person will finally say, oh, yes, sir, no problem. We can help you out. The first 9 will say no. So you have to be persistent in life. You have to be persistent with things. And there are a lot of people who don't do that. They listen to something, they answer the first time, and then they say, oh, okay. And then you know what they do? Instead of taking the time to make all of those phone calls, you know what they do instead? The worst thing you can do, they complain. They go to their friends and they complain. No, this company wouldn't do this for me. No. Well, instead of complaining, why didn't you just pick up the phone again and just keep on calling the company? Now you're going to feel good about it. Now the next conversation you have with your friend is going to be a positive one. You're not being negative about things, and you're not whining and complaining about something that was your fault to begin with because you didn't handle it properly. So I wound up owing $300. I was so angry because that was $300 I never needed to owe to begin with, that I was handing to a bank for no reason. Gone. Like it was like just taking three $100 bills and just taking them and saying, oh, here you go. Just take them. I don't want them. You know what you can do? Just put them into a fire. I mean, I was so mad. And I said, never again am I ever going to just hand the bank money like that. I'm not going to ever pay interest again. And I'm very, very proud to say that since that time, since that Discover bill, when I was 18 years old, 28 years later, I have never, not one time have I ever carried a balance over. It's never happened. All of my credit cards have always been paid in full every single time. Now, there's a reason I told this story. And yeah, I know we're 30 minutes into the episode, but here's the problem with people. Everybody, and I'm sorry to say this, but I think I don't want to, when I say everybody, I'm talking about most people. Everybody comes on with things and they just want the quick fix. So they come onto the episode and they're here for the first 5 or 6 minutes and they want the quick fix. They want the quick answers. Life doesn't operate like that, my friends. It doesn't operate. Things are not a quick fix. The things that are the quick fix are usually a quick disaster, or I should say, it's going to be a slow disaster. Okay, it's not just a quick car crash. It's the one that just takes forever, and then it rolls over and rolls over, and that's the reality. You need to hear the context of this. You need to understand this story and why I'm explaining it and how it's going to pertain to you with how you are going to manage your life as an adult. Because that life experience at 18, I never forgot that. I said, I'm never, ever, ever going to carry over a balance, which taught me immediately that if I didn't have the money basically there, I didn't buy it. And there are people out there, they have compulsive spending disorders. It's a serious problem. And that's why a lot of those people will say, oh, I'm not going to get a credit card because, well, you know why? Yeah, I'm going to tell you why they don't get the credit card. You know why? Because they can't control themselves. So they know they can't control themselves. They walk into a store and they have to buy everything. I mean, to which I say, what's wrong with you? You know you can't buy everything. Just don't buy everything. What else can I tell you? If you can't afford it, you don't buy it. And and here's the kicker. I have in my bank account right now. I'm not going to reveal how much I have in my bank account, but I can tell you right now, in my bank account right now, I have enough money to be able to not work. I can lose my job right now. I could have no income coming in at all, nothing. And I would have enough money right now to be able to completely, totally survive for the next 6 months with no problem at all. All of my basic expenses, my house, my car, which is actually now paid off, but other expenses associated with the car, utilities, everything. Guess what? I am not comfortable. I have 6 months sitting in my bank account right now, and I'm not comfortable with that. To which I now say to you, if you are going to making this jump into adulthood, and I'm sorry to give you some cold hard reality, you may not be best served by following the examples of your families, because you may be in a situation in your own family where they do not know how to manage their money properly. They don't know how to do it, and they may not even let on to you. But you're right; it does need to be said, and it's to me, it's criminal when someone says that they don't have money for something. How can you not? If you don't have $5 for something, there's a serious problem. I mean, that's a serious, serious problem, and I know. It is mind-boggling to me, the number of people who walk out there. How you can walk out into the world without cash in your pocket is beyond me. I have no idea how you do that. What are you going to do as an adult? If you're in a situation, your car breaks down, you have no money in your pocket, zero zilch. Your car breaks down. The tow truck comes to go to tow your car away, and the tow truck company informs you at that time they don't accept credit cards. Now what do you do? They don't accept debit cards. Now what do you do? Cash only. They don't want your check. They want cash only. And the tow is going to be $35. What are you going to do? You know what you're going to do? You're going to have your car stuck on the side of the road and they're going to drive away. Cold, hard facts. And people don't plan like this. In my pocket at any given time, if I don't have at least $50 in my pocket at any given time, I'm completely uncomfortable. Completely uncomfortable. Now, I'm not walking around with $1,000. I mean, God forbid something horrible happens. I don't want $1,000 taken from me. But I don't walk around with less than $50. Priorities, folks. Priorities. You need to always have some type of cash on hand. For me as a teacher, I have students so often, and I feel bad, and I really, in a lot of ways, I shouldn't do it, but I never want to penalize the child because someone could not give their child money for food. And it irritates me. This has been my entire career. My entire career. I can't begin to tell you the number of times I've had to give $1 here, $1 there, $3 here, $3 there for different types of things. Why the children are not carrying that money with them, I don't understand. I know that when I was younger, I always had money on me. Always. I always carried some type of money with me. My parents made sure that I always had some type of money on me in case of whatever type of situation. And I learned you don't just spend the money because you see something. You don't walk into the candy store and buy every bit of candy and now you have no money left. You learn this. It needs to be learned. And if you haven't heard it before, I am telling you. One of it really it's the number one thing when it comes to adulting. It really comes down, almost all of it comes down to money management. Okay. I want to address Esther's comment here. Some parents can't give money to their kids. Well, if the parents can't give money to their kids, then here's the thing I say to those parents. Why did you have a child? It's a fair question. If you are not supporting your child, then why did you have a child? Did you bring a child into this world, which is one of the things on my list here? Did you bring a child in this world because you just wanted to have a child and then you wanted the child to now have to suffer? What are we supposed to expect? I'm going to give you the exact equivalent of that. Some parents can't give money to their kids. You know what the equivalent is? I'm going to give it to you straight. That would be the equivalent of a child who's 2 or 3 years old and has, or I should say like 2 years old, 1 or 2 years old, and they have a soiled diaper. And you as a parent are not changing the diaper. You're not changing. You're allowing them to walk around with a soiled diaper. It's the exact same thing. Exact same thing. And it's neglect. I mean, how else can I possibly put it? You make a decision to bring a child into this world. That was your choice, that you made that choice. Then what you have to do is you have to provide for the child. If not, don't have children. People will say, well, someone else will take care. No, someone else is not going to take care. That's your job. You are the one who wanted to have the child. And I don't want to make this whole episode about that because I could go on a complete rant with that. But that's what my answer is. And I had the most unbelievably incredible conversation earlier this week with 5 students who are so mature, so on top of everything, so intelligent, so with it. They're all seniors. They're all like around 17-ish years old. I think one's 18. And they are terrified about making this next step into life. And when I was asking them different types of questions, they had no idea whatsoever. They didn't know what to do. And I asked them, I posed to them a very simple question. I said, everybody has to pay rent. You have to pay some type of rent. You have to pay some type of something in terms of your residence, unless you are homeless. You don't have a set dwelling where you're paying money, or you own that particular dwelling. And in which case, if you own it, you're almost definitely paying taxes on it. So you're still going to be owing something. You're going to be always owing somebody some type of money throughout the course of your life. So I said to them, I said, how much is the rough amount? And they gave me the rough amount that was. Well, if that's the rough amount, if the amount of money that whatever it is your dwelling is $1,500, you do not need $1,500 a month. If you have a $1,500 a month rent, you should be bringing in bare minimum. You should be bringing in $2,000 a month. That is bare minimum. Probably closer to $2,500, $3,000 or so. Why? It's the very first thing I said in the episode. things are going to go wrong. What are you going to do when your car needs a massive repair? What are you going to do? You're just not going to have the car? And that's the problem. Now you suddenly don't have a car available to you because you can't get the car repaired. That's a big issue. And I decided to get a Toyota Prius because they're very, very low maintenance. But don't think for a minute that I haven't had to shell out some serious money. My car this year alone, I had to shell out just to maintain it and to do not reactive maintenance, but proactive maintenance. $4,000 this year just to keep the car running well and get all of its regular maintenance and to have the nice new tires on the car, all those different types of things. And you plan accordingly. You get yourself a reliable car. You decide to pay for a cheap car, you're going to get cheap results. You pay less for something, don't expect more. Doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work that way. When you pay more, you do the proper research into whatever it is that you're going to be buying, and then hopefully it's going to work out. One of my good friends was telling me that he had a Toyota. I can't remember what type of Toyota he had. Best car he ever owned. He said it was outstanding. Never had a problem with it in his entire life. He came into some money, started making some serious money. This was years ago. And then he decided to sell the Toyota on the insistence of a relative. One of his relatives said, you got to get rid of that Toyota. You have to get a BMW. A BMW is the way to go. He got the BMW. Within 2 weeks, he had problems with the car. Now, the problem with the BMW, you can't just walk into any auto repair place. You have to go to a specific place that repairs BMWs. And you know what they do? They have their own specific prices, like their own specific prices for the oil change and their own specific prices for all different types of things. And you don't have a choice. There's no bargaining there. The costs have gotten to be so outrageous at places like BMW that they now have, this is a true fact, they now have a financing plan for repairs. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? Because they know that you may have a repair that's going to be $4,000 on the car. So they actually offer like a payment plan. That is insane to me. This is the world that we live in. Things are going to go wrong. You have to plan financially for things to go wrong. When I graduated college, I didn't just move out right away. Do you think I wanted to continue to live with my parents? And I love my parents dearly. They're remarkable individuals. You think I wanted to continue to live there? And the fact that even though they tried to the best of their ability, I'm still their little boy, even at age 22. So I had to live under their rules. And you know what? They have every single right to feel that way because this is their home. This is the way that they run their home. Well, if you don't want to be in that situation, that's fine, but you better be ready to make that jump. And I'll tell you, I wanted to get out so badly. I finally did. I wound up finding a roommate who I thought was going to be the perfect roommate. Wound up not working out well. It was a disaster. I came extremely close to losing my apartment. I wound up getting back on my feet. I had to be super frugal. I had to save tons of my money. I couldn't spend money on anything at all. I was barely able to hold on to the apartment. And then I'm happy to say I was able to stay in that apartment for like another 10 years before I purchased my home. Purchasing my home. I could sit here and talk for hours about the trials and tribulations of being a homeowner. I can tell you this much, things are going to go wrong. What about, what was it? Last year? Yeah, it was last year. How about last year? Not last year, excuse me, the year before. So it was May 2018. How about waking up and about ready to leave for work, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm hearing dripping. There's water on the first floor of my home. This is not normal. You're not supposed to have water sitting in the middle of your first floor of your home. I look up, I look at the ceiling, there's water coming from the ceiling. Well, what the heck is this? Did a pipe burst or something? No. It was a shingle that flew off of my roof, and the water was coming through the roof like a sieve. And it just was coming. I had buckets, I had trash cans all over the place trying to hold the water. And I'm saying to myself, what do I have to do? You know what I had to do? I had to get a new roof. Not just because of that one shingle, but because I knew if that could happen to one of the shingles, it was going to happen to the others. Do you know what a lot of people do out there in our world? You know what they do? They don't get the roof repair. Oh, you know what? I'll just patch it up. Or I'll do it myself. I'll risk going on the roof, and then after they fall off the roof and they break their leg, and they don't think about those types of expenses. I couldn't even dream of going onto a roof. I'm terrified of heights, and I would be absolutely the first person to fall right off of the roof. Here I go. Ah! That's the end. Speaking of did you happen to notice as I was speaking that there's a new addition to the Getting It Done podcast? And now a commercial, a small YouTube break. Here it is. Whoa. Look at that. How about that, huh? The tooth has been fixed. There it is. Booyah. There it is. And you know what? After waiting almost a year, I am very, very happy with my new tooth. It is finally there. Yay for that. I can actually smile and not have to be so self-conscious, and people wonder if I'm part pirate or if or if I got into a fight in a nightclub or something like that. Holy moly. Yeah. So that's finally been fixed. Okay. We now finally hit skip ads, and now we are back to our podcast. So you are going to have things that go wrong. Now, people have a lot of fears becoming an adult, things that you're worried about. One of the things, and this is a natural progression of life. Let's talk about friendships. This is a tough area to talk about, but needs to be addressed. When you become an adult, you are going to start to blaze your own path, whatever that's going to be, which now means that when I'm saying you're becoming an adult, let's say you're 18 and you're now going to be graduating high school. You are not going to be actively engaged with the people you were with before. That means you're not going to be seeing them every single day. Think about it this way for a minute, okay? Think about not seeing those same people every single day over the course of the summer. Now, that's only 2 months. How many of you in the chat have had that situation where you could be in high school, middle school, elementary school, could be college, where you go an entire summer and you don't see a whole bunch of people, and then when you get back to that environment, things are different. People are different. All of a sudden, the really, really conservative person, their hair color is some radical color. Somebody has decided to completely change how the type of clothing that they're going to dress. All of a sudden, the person's gone all goth and they have all black on. Or you have someone who has decided that smoking would be a fantastic hobby, and that's what they do as part of their life now. Or now they are into recreational drug use, and that happened over the course of the summer. Or because they are now they had some type of experience and they decide that they're going to be completely and totally antisocial with the rest of the world, or they're going to become more social. They're going to start hanging out with different types of people, or they're not going to hang out with anyone. People change. It's the natural progression of life. The people I was friends with in elementary school were different than the ones in middle school, were different from the ones in various stages of high school, were different from the ones I had in college, were different from the ones I had right after college, early in my career at my first job, in the middle of my career at my next job. It's going to happen. Friendships are going to change in many different types of ways. And you have to understand and accept that. There are going to be people who are going to be cold. They're going to be cruel. They're going to be harsh. They're going to just flat out cut you off. They're going to judge you fairly or unfairly. It may not have been anything that you did at all. You may have done nothing wrong. You might be the same fantastic human being you were before. Here's the thing. The other person, it's not that they're not a fantastic human being. They have changed. Something about them is different, and it's not really meshing with you anymore. I'm 46 years old, and I'm going through this literally now. Right now, I'm going through it. This past weekend, I literally took this past weekend to just examine the people who I interact with in my life. And I look at the people who are always there for me. I look at the people who care about me unconditionally. I look at the people who, when I send them a text or I make a phone call to them, they instantly get back to me. And then I have other people, they don't. And I have some amazing angels, some great friends, some great family members. I just completely, totally vented over the weekend and early part of the week about this because it's so frustrating. It's a remarkable to me, and I think the thing that I've struggled with, and I still struggle with, is that I've always been such a kind and caring and giving person. I'm that person who always checks on people. I'm the person who always says hello to people. I'm the person that goes out of their way to greet people, to the point where I think some people think I'm strange because I'm the person that does that and others don't. That's just my personality. But it's remarkable to me. I don't look so much for the people that I don't really know that well. I'm talking about the people that I have given so much of my time to, and I've done so much for them. And then in the rare occasions that I've asked for something in return and they're not there for me, and you have to make a decision on that. And you have to figure it out. What are you going to do in your life as you get older? You need to understand that if you decide to go to college, you're going to be associating with people in college, which means the people in high school who are not with you. And even if those people in high school go on to your college with you, I had a girl, woman, who I dated uh, in high school. And when I went off to college, she wound up researching the college that I went to. Now, it had nothing to do, our relationship had been over with, and we were just friends at that point. But one of the reasons she had looked into the college was strictly because of me. Now, when she got to the college, we were friendly with each other. But here's what was really, really weird. She had a whole bunch of people she had become friends with. I wound up becoming really close friends with them, but our friendship became distant. And we don't hate each other and we just don't really talk anymore. Now, if I contact her right now, would we be able to have a nice conversation? Yes. But we'd probably have a conversation for a few hours catching up, and then you would kind of run out of things to talk about because you're not in the same environment anymore. So if you've changed schools or you have changed something in your life, some type of event has happened where your environment has changed, you need to understand that your friendships are going to change as well. Your relationships with other people are going to change. The thing that I encourage you to do as an adult is to hang around people who are adult like, not people who are 18, 19, 20 years old who are acting like children. You should not be hanging out when you're 20, 21, 22 years old and doing the same things that 15-year-olds were doing. That's just ridiculous. You're not making any type of progress. You need to avoid that. Get away from that. And you know what it may mean? You may have to cut that person off. I mean, definitely. Oh my goodness. I mean, you want to talk about something really, really tough. Really, really tough. Was one of my absolute best friends. This was somebody who was a great friend through high school. And when I was in college, we stayed in touch. And then throughout most of my adult life, we were completely in touch with each other. And then finally get to that point where our environments changed enough to the point where he was literally 3,000 miles away from me. And we were still able to text if we wanted to, but I started to notice that he was just extremely busy and I was extremely busy. We just didn't have that time to talk with one another. But then something happened and I had to cut the friendship off. What happened was that he would contact me when it was convenient for him. And if I was not available, he'd go off on me. But if it was the other way around and I contacted him, I wasn't entitled to feel the same way. And I thought that was unfair and it was ridiculous. And this pattern continued. And it was almost like this like verbal abuse that I was taking from him. And I was saying to myself, I don't need this person. And it's tough because you've been with the person for so long. That person's been such a long part of your life. And I'm never going to forget those memories I had with that person. A remarkable person. But the reality is that I needed to move on. And I very bluntly said, you know what, we really shouldn't talk anymore. And I really wish you all the best. And I don't think anything badly of him whatsoever, but I don't really have any desire to talk to him anymore because what are we going to talk about exactly? And that's tough. And it's kind of like that thing where you haven't seen someone in many years and then you run into them and you're kind of saying to yourself, I kind of wish I didn't run into them because now I'm going to be forced into having a phony conversation with them. What I do, I'm going to tell you a bit of advice. If you run into someone, you have no desire to talk to them, and you can kind of have this little timer in your mind, maybe set it like for 5 minutes, and then just come up with some white lie as to I have to get somewhere or I have to do something or whatever. You're not being mean. You are just kind of ending that conversation that you never wanted to have the conversation to begin with. And this is a problem that a lot of people have. So this is again part of that adulting thing. There are people, they feel that they have to hold on to all these friends that they had before, and things are going to change. So like I said, just kind of recapping some of the things with the episode, things are always going to go wrong. You need to plan financially for those things that are going to go wrong. Credit card. You've got to get a credit card. You need a credit card to be able to start to build some type of a report and some type of a history. Right now, if you don't have any way of being able to demonstrate to financial institutions that you are able to make payments, if you are not able to do such a thing, then your credit score right now is, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's just 0. I think you don't even have a credit score. So if you can start to establish that, then when you are going to need money, you'll be able to get it. One of the reasons I was able to get my house, and I got a remarkably great deal in terms of the financing and in terms of the mortgage that I wound up getting on my home. I got that because I had a stellar, an immaculate credit score. I was debt-free and I had a perfect payment history. And I know I did. I kept track of everything that I did. So you need to understand the importance of building your credit. So then you are not in a situation where you're going to potentially be rejected at a time that you need money or you need something most. We talked about the fact that you need to carry money with you. I, again, will never understand people who do not carry anything in their pocket at all, no money whatsoever, because even in 2019, there are places and situations where you are going to find someone or something where you need to give them cash. Last time I checked, you cannot get onto a bus and hand them a personal check. Last time I checked, in most situations, you cannot get onto a bus and say, here's my debit card. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. So figure out what that amount of money is that you should probably have on you just at all times. Another thing that I've done many times in the past is I'll have like that spare 20 where it's almost a point where you forget that it's in your wallet, but you have that there. Now let's talk about a wallet for a minute, or a pocketbook, whatever it is that you're going to be carrying. When you're an adult, you need to carry identification on you. You need to carry identification on you. You don't have to worry about that as a minor. Because if something happens to you and the police need to get involved, they need to know who you are. and they're going to ask for identification. What's the identification? Almost always a driver's license. So you should get a driver's license. Even if you don't drive, you should get a driver's license. You need to have some type of form of some legal form of an ID. Saying, well, I'm a student at this school, that might help you in some situations. More often than not, it does not. Usually you can use your school ID, again, over the age of 18. You could use that in addition to the driver's license. Because what do they want? They want something that has a photo on it. And you are not going to have a credit card that's going to have a photo on it. You don't want your photo on your credit card. Okay. A Tinting V16, it is great to see you. And I will take care of you, my friend, because what I'm going to do is I did the intro music with your music, and you thought it was 8 a.m. You must have been asleep. I have to assume that, my friend. Austin, I took care of you tonight. We did the intro music with your music, and I will do a nice outro with your music as well. So I'm so glad that you're able to join. And a quick hello to Mary. Mary, so awesome to see you. I'm glad that you're able to tune in tonight. Slim Shady making the good old return appearance. That's great stuff. So appreciate you being here. Again, we've been talking about many different things relating to being an adult. The fact that things are always going to go wrong. You should need to build up a credit score. That's critical, absolutely critical. The fact that at the age of 18, you should not be having children. You just shouldn't. And if you do, you better have some serious money saved. I know people, I know people who are in their late 20s. They've been married for several years. They're not even thinking about having children right now because they know all of the financial implications, because they've thought things through. They've thought about all of the different monthly payments that they have. And then you factor in a child. And again, it goes back to what Esther was talking about. Well, what if the parents can't afford to give the child money? To which I would say, would a parent ever have a child in a soiled diaper and not change the diaper? It's the same thing. It's exactly the same. That means that you didn't buy diapers for the child. The child is not capable of taking care of himself or herself and being able to make that diaper change. Well, guess what? A 14-year-old who can't work is not capable of getting that money. They have to get money somehow. Guess who it needs to come from? You, the parents. That's your job. You don't get a special prize for that. You know, we're not going to be giving you a trophy because you're parent of the year because you gave your child $5 or $10 for lunch or for dinner. Are you kidding me right now? Are you serious? And there are people out there that believe that. They said, oh, well, I take care of my child. You take care of your child. Why? Because that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. You want to learn about that? You know who you listen to? Chris Rock, the comedian. Check out Chris Rock about parenting. Look him up. Now, he has some nice foul language that he uses. My goodness. And he happens to be African American. And he decides to do his particular bits on African American males specifically. And how angry he gets. And that's not what this is about. I'm certainly not going to talk about anything relating to race or color or creed or anything like that. But in his bit, he says it so eloquently. And he says, you know, these parents, they expect some type of a reward or some type of special recognition. The recognition is you should be thrilled that you have a child that you've taken care of, and you're hopefully doing a great job of parenting them and showing them the difference between right and wrong. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Not a special reward. Doesn't really work like that. But I will say, on a side note, and I say it all the time, is that it's very, very difficult to be a parent. And I certainly say a big, big shout out to those people who are single parents or were raised by single parents. And it's difficult. It's very, very difficult to do. But again, if you're going to be a single parent, you've decided that you're going to be in that situation. There's some people that make that cognizant decision. They're fully aware that they're not going to be staying with that other person. it's going to be much, much more difficult. And again, you've got to be able to provide for yourself and provide for that child or those children. If not, please don't have more children. There are 8 billion people in the world. We do not need more children who are not able to take care of themselves. That's not the job of a child. The child is supposed to be developing. The child is supposed to be learning. That's what their job is. That's what their expectations. Right and wrong, making good decisions, learning from the poor decisions. That's what life is all about. But when you become the adult, unfortunately, again, in society, if you do something bad, really, really, really bad, when you're 15 years old, and I ran into a student, he's actually 16 now, and I ran into him recently, and he had to drop out of high school. He did something horrible, was arrested. He's not in jail. If he was an adult for the thing that he did, he would be in jail. And he'd be in jail probably for quite some time. He's not in jail right now. So, you know, and I hate bringing up celebrities and I hate bringing up specific people. If you want someone to not follow the example of Antonio Brown, wide receiver in the National Football League, if you want a person who could not possibly make worse decisions for no other reason than it's all out in public, the way that this person conducts himself is absolutely reprehensible. And there are people out there who still support this person. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. And when you decide that you're going to buy that person's jersey, you're supporting that person. So just keep that in the back of your mind. But my goodness, and it's incredible to me, and I have to go a step further with this because Antonio Brown was a big reason why I decided to do this episode. There are people who are actually saying, well, he needs to learn to grow up. What? He's in his 30s. I mean, are you kidding right now? I believe he's in his 30s or he's in his very late 20s. Maybe somebody can fact check that for me while I'm doing this right now. My God. I mean, are you seriously kidding me right now that he needs some time to grow up? He needs to mature. How many times have you seen this with athletes? People making a gazillion dollars, and they make some huge mistake and they say, well, I am still a young man and I am learning. You're 26 years old. Why did you decide to do X, Y, and Z? You knew it was illegal. Bad decision making. And again, a lot of that comes back to the way that they were raised. So what type of fears do you have? Before we wrap up the episode tonight, type in the chat here. What type of fears do you have about becoming an adult? And you don't have to be 17 or 18. Thank you, Charlize. Appreciate it. I knew it too. I knew he was in his 30s. He's 31 years old. Are you serious? You're 31 years old and you're conducting yourself like that for everybody to see? And you're trying to garner our sympathy? What are you, out of your mind? Unbelievable. All right. So what types of fears do you have? Doesn't matter what age you are. What types of fears do you have about becoming an adult? What are the things that are scariest to you? What are the things that you worry you the most? Because we are going to wrap up the episode probably in about 10 minutes or so. We got that nice $15 Amazon gift card waiting in the wings here. So any types of things that you have. So let's take a look. So Charlize says, I fear not making the right choices and messing up badly. I'm telling you right now, you are going to mess up. I am here to tell you, you are going to mess up. I am also here to tell you that it is normal to have those types of fears. Here's what I say. Live life without fear. False expectations appearing real. That's what fear stands for. False expectations appearing real. because they're not. And there are so many people who live in fear. And you can't live like that. You can't make a decision and then worry about what's going to happen after you make that whatever decision. You just can't live like that. You need to make the decision, it's made, and then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. And then you deal with it. And if you can't deal with it personally, then you find someone else who you can talk to, who you can trust, who's going to be able to help you. I'm just throwing out a name. I don't know. Something to think about. Okay. So I can always tell you I'm here. I'm here every single Thursday night. I'm here every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. And if there's one thing that you've learned about my episodes is that I'll sometimes go completely off topic because, my friends, it's worth mentioning once again, if you're just tuning in, we have a tooth. The tooth has arrived. The tooth fairy came and finally put that into my mouth this past Tuesday. And I give all the props in the world to my oral surgeon and dentist who just did an outstanding job. And I'm so happy that they have a lot of my money. That tooth, I think, all said and done out of pocket, that tooth, I believe, cost me about $8,000 when all is said and done. And that's been over the course of the past 5 years. Please take care of your teeth as best as you can. If you know you have poor teeth and you have that in your genes, unfortunately, that's kind of one of those things. Thank you so much to my family. But you got to take really, really good care of certain parts of your body. And in my particular case, it happens to be my teeth. So let's see what else we have here. Jared, I fear losing friendships because of the lack of time with them while I'm prioritizing and working on my own life first. I have the same issue, Jared, exactly the same. And I think what you need to do is you need to have a very practical conversation with them and say, listen, I am super, super busy right now. I need you to understand that I may not be able to get back to you as often. And if the person's a true friend, you shouldn't even have to have that discussion with them. But I think having that discussion is a very mature thing to do. And it kind of clues them in case you don't get back to them immediately with whatever it is. But I'm going to go one step further. I think that if you are truly friends with someone, when they contact you, you should contact them immediately. I live by the sundown rule. This is a rule that has been extolled by Dan Pena, who he learned from Sam Walton. Sam Walton, of course, was the founder of Walmart and Sam's Club. Okay. Sam Walton lived by the sundown rule. What's the sundown rule? It means that whatever needs to get done, you don't go to sleep until it is done. And you act on it. You don't wait until the next day. And that's one of the reasons why people who are usually successful, like Sam Walton and like others, is they take care of things right away. They take action. And whatever the case may be, whether it's work related, whether it has to do with one of my students, whether it has to do with one of my friends, I always take care of situations right away. People know that when they contact me, I almost always respond to them instantaneously. If that person really matters to you, they're going to get back to you and they're going to care about you and love you unconditionally, Jared. Unconditionally. And you shouldn't, if you technically think about it, you shouldn't have to justify anything to them if they're truly a friend of yours. All right. Esther, I fear my bills will eat me alive and I won't get the career I want as soon as possible. So I'll have to live in poor conditions. That is a very, 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 that's a really, really valid fear. So, first of all, we were not put on life on earth, whether you believe that some type of supreme being created us or however it is that we came to be. We were never put on life to pay bills. That's what society wants you to believe. Now, we do have to pay bills, but that's not the reason. That's not living life. You're not living life if all you are doing is nothing but paying bills. If you're just paying bills and then you work and then you pay bills and then you work and then you're paying bills, where's your life? You have no life. What is your life? Your life is sitting back watching TV? Really? That's life? Sitting back and watching a movie? That's life? Not to me, it isn't. I think there's a lot more to life. I think there's a lot more that a person can do, and it should not just be work, pay bills, work, pay bills, work, pay bills. But that's what we're conditioned to do. You're supposed to go off to college. You're supposed to get the perfect job. But when you're in college, you're going to be accruing $200,000 in debt. And now you have to get that job and you're going to be paying the debt back for the rest of your life. But then you're also going to have a house at the same time. You're going to have you're going to have the car payments, and you're going to have this. And then you decide to have children. And then the expenses are. I'm exhausted thinking about it. And this is what goes through their mind. So, Esther, here's what you do. You take information like the stuff you learned in tonight's episode. You research. You watch videos on these types of things to do everything you can to try to avoid those types of situations. You may not be able to live on your own. You may need to live with someone else. In some cases, you might be living somewhere where, quite honestly, those people are not being supportive, and they're actually having an emotional toll on you, a mental and emotional toll, and in some cases, even a physical toll on you and on your health, where you've got to move on. You've got to move on to something else or somewhere else. Dan Pena, again, someone I listen to all the time. He was responding. He did it pretty sarcastically because he's a very blunt guy. And they, what if I don't have good friends? He said, you do move 3,000 miles away and find new friends. Move to the moon. I mean, he's so right. You don't have the right people, then don't hang out with them anymore. Find a new group of friends. There's 8 billion people out there in the world. You don't have to be confined and stuck with one person. There are other people out there that share your interests. So, in terms of your question, I won't be able to career as soon as possible. Well, you have to think about the jobs you have. I will tell you, Esther, that, and I've said this many, many times, I am in the position I am right now with my life in terms of my career as a teacher and as a performing musician by virtue of failures, and many of them. I needed to be told no so many times to be in the position I'm in right now. If I wasn't told no right out of college, I may have been a professional opera singer. Fact. If I wasn't told no in certain job interviews, I might have a job up in Vermont right now in the middle of nowhere. And I've since researched that school district where I had applied to, that I was this close to getting a job because I was so desperate to get a job. And thank God I didn't get that job. The job was awful pay. And I would have been in the middle of nowhere. The district went belly up. The district doesn't even exist anymore. They actually took those students and they consolidated things. Can you imagine what my life would have been like in that way? And I used to live with no regrets because you know what? In the position I'm in, look what I'm doing now. I get to hang out with you guys. I made this decision to have this podcast and be able to have episodes and be able to share my experiences and share different types of ideas that I have week after week with all of you, and be able to mentor so many people who are over here in the chat, and be able to teach children of all ages every single day. I mean, I tell you something. I'm not going to forget the lesson I had with my first graders today for a long time. Because to watch first graders, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds last week, whose behavior was so abysmal, and we spent the entire class working on fixing our behavior, and I don't yell, and I talk to them like people. They're little people, but I talk to them like people with respect. And then to come in this week, and the class was just transformed. Now, is it going to stay that way? No. But are we off to a good start? You bet. And that's what's important. That's what's important. Things are going to take time. Things are going to go wrong. It's all part of the process, and people overreact constantly. And what doesn't help is the way that our society is. We overreact to everything. We overreact to everything. That's society and social media. They've trained you now where they want you to react for some type of reason. And more often than not, they want you to react in some type of way because in the end, at the end of the rainbow, it has to do with money. In the end, I look at sports where there's an athlete, like for instance, my beloved New York Giants, who Eli Manning has been the quarterback forever. All of a sudden, this new quarterback comes along, Daniel Jones. I don't have anything against Daniel Jones at all. He had a spectacular first game. But all of a sudden, our society is ready to anoint him as the next coming of whatever. And this is the world we live in now, where we take that person and we now put them on this, and it's not fair. It's really not fair. You're putting that person on this first place type of pedestal where unfortunately the only way that they're probably going to go is going to be down unless you're Tom Brady. So it's interesting. This is the first episode I can think of where I've actually been referencing real life things, but I think that can help some of you when I'm talking about in terms of sports personalities and some of these people out there. My goodness. But again, if you've made the decision that you have to live your life on Twitter, hey, you have nobody to blame but yourself if you have to be totally obsessed with everything that's going on in the world. You don't need it. I've said it so many times. The only thing that you need for social media is you need to be coming to places where you're going to be expanding your brain. And I'm hoping that my podcast episodes provide that to you. Hey, by the way, if you just tuned in, did you like the episode? Did you take care of it? Did you do a thumbs up? Have you gone to the other episodes and have you made comments saying, wow, the man has such an amazing delivery and he can change his voice at any given time? Voiceovers, what do you think? Do I have a career doing voiceovers? Is that a possibility? Anybody out there? What do you think? Could I pull that off? Could I do voiceovers? You think so? I can't do a British voice. I can't. I'm going to have to I have to learn Spanish first before I do any type of British voice. I still have to learn my Spanish. So I did tell my kids this past week that I feel very, very good about niño and niña, because now I know that niño stands for apple and niña stands for pencil. So I feel very, very good about things. Niño, apple, niña, pencil. And I'll tell you, when you're teaching bilingual kids, it doesn't get any better than that. So there we go. So I hope I've done everybody proud. Anybody here who speaks Spanish, I hope that you feel great about that. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you, Julie Gomez. I appreciate that very, very much. I'm the new Morgan Freeman. How does that work? Does that voice work? Cringe? Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure what the cringe is. Is the cringe? I don't know which one the cringe is for. See, because you guys are delayed over here. Stop. I need to stop that voice. I have to stop that voice. No. Oh, it's not good. Oh, I'm bad. Okay. So I can't do that voice anymore. I'm sorry that I'm terrifying the children here. Okay. I hope that you have gotten a lot of new information from this episode. I hope that it has been helpful in some way to you. Look, this thing called life is not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. It wasn't meant to be easy. If life were easy, then everybody would be doing it. And everybody would be doing it well. And the reality is that if you want something in life badly enough, you're going to have to work hard, and it's not going to be easy. And there's no easy road. The people who take the easy road in life are the ones who don't have a full life, and more often than not, they're poor. They're usually poor financially, but they're often poor spiritually. They're often poor mentally, emotionally. And there's nothing worse than a person who they are to that point where they're just not evolving. And if you're making mistakes and things are not going well, It doesn't mean that your life is a complete and total disaster. It just means that you're going through a rough time. And like I said, the best thing to do is you find, even if it's just one or two people that you can confide in and just be able to air out and be able to vent, and you're going to be able to feel much, much better. Heaven knows I did this past week, and those people were amazing to me. We have hit that point in the episode for an Amazon gift card. $15 variety. And we are going into the random live chat. We're going to take a look here. We're going to mix up all these names tonight. You'll notice I am flying solo. I am without moderator, and that is totally all good. I knew that in advance that we'd be doing this one solo, but you know what? I give myself a lot of credit. I was able to keep up pretty well with the chat, and I thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart for, as always, participating, being involved. The people who did not come tonight are the ones that missed out, and I hope that they're going to be able to tune in later and get some valuable bits of information having to do with the next steps to becoming an adult and making this big transition. Because as always, I probably hit you with some things that you never thought about. And the answers are not quick and they're not easy. You need to sit down, you need to listen to the episode, take it all in, because the quick fixes in life usually result in slow, prolonged disasters. So think about that. All right, here we go. So at this time, here we go. We are going to do our random generator. We're going to mix up these names. I have my program going right now. In a second, I'm going to need a drum roll. Remember, if you are the winner of the gift card, please do contact me. Please email me. You can send an email, of course, to gettingitdonepodcast at gmail.com. Okay, that is the official email for Getting It Done. So gettingitdonepodcast at gmail.com. The other way that you can reach out to me is through Facebook Messenger. We have, of course, the Getting It Done site up on Facebook. You, if you have any other types of ways you are going to be able to reach out to me, you can do that as well. Please, of course, include your name, include your email address, because I'm going to blast that Amazon gift card to you through email. And at this time, here we go. I need a drum roll or two. A drum roll or two. Anybody? Waiting for some drum rolls. There we go. Carlos, thank you for all your participation tonight. Love it. Feedback was great. Appreciate you very, very much. I didn't say hello to you before. Jared getting the drum rolls going. Charlize with some drum rolls happening. I'm looking for some other people. I know I have more people here. Hopefully, again, you've smash that like button. Hopefully, you have made comments on other types of episodes as well. If you have not, you need to do that before the end of the night. Here we go. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, and Charlize Diaz, you are the winner of the $15 Amazon gift card. Congratulations, Charlize. And I am so happy that you won tonight. I am so happy for everybody here who has participated. Hopefully you subscribed to the channel already. You are passing along the information to others. We're getting more people involved. Pass along the episode. Make sure to share the channel with others. Make sure that people are liking the episodes, making comments, any way to keep the podcast going, because with your support, that's how we grow. That's how we're able to spread the word and share all this amazing information. So Charlize, do make sure to reach out to me this evening. Make sure that you get in touch with me with your information so I can get that to you. So if you have an email address, then you'll be able to email me again at gettingitdonepodcast@gmail.com. That'll be the easiest way to do it. And otherwise, like I also said, you can always, any of our winners for the Amazon gift cards, you can and that's actually anyone. You can reach out to me at any time through Facebook Messenger. Of course, I ask that the messages are appropriate, but that is my official channel on Facebook. So you can go on there, drop whatever message you want. I'm always looking for topic suggestions. We are getting dangerously close. It's true, folks. I am starting to actually make some changes in my kitchen to get everything all set up. I had to actually buy some new webcams. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to hit myself from various angles as I do the cooking episode. I tried to do it with one camera and I just found that that was not working. So I'm working on the technology. I have purchased multiple webcams and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to hit you from many different angles. So you'll be able to see me in action at the stove, because I know that a lot of you are interested in how I'm able to do the things and whip up all those wonderful, yummy creations in my kitchen, as it were. So, is it going to be next Thursday? Probably not next Thursday. I have a very, very busy schedule still going on here in my life. So it'll probably not be, probably in about a month or so when things really start to die down. My schedule opens up a lot more and I have the free time that I need necessary to be able to have a really, really excellent episode, because I don't want to give you something that's substandard. You deserve the best. So thank you so much. We have to do a little outro music here. So again, congratulations to Charlize. Make sure that you contact me through one of those methods. That would be fantastic. All right. And we have to get some music here from a Tinting V16. So we're going to do this. I'll do a little bit of brief chatting here as we have this going on. So let's get that music going on here. Get my speaker going. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to do an outro. We're going to do this as if I was like reading like credits or something like that. Let's try that. We're going to do something a little bit different. So imagine the credits going up on the screen or down, something like that. All right, so let's see. Let's get this going on here. All right, here we go. This is a Tinting V16. This is the March to Salvation. Tinting, can you help me out? I believe you created this on GarageBand. Is that accurate? Did you create this on GarageBand? I think you did. I will be able to tell you later. Actually, I can probably even tell you as we're listening to it if you're in 6.8. I'm not really sure. He says YRS, Y-R-S. Then he said ye. I'm not sure what YRS and ye are. Is that supposed to read yes? Or maybe you can do it in Spanish. Niña. Did I do well? Was that good? Niña. There we go. Okay. So, because I know niña means yes. Oh, that's right. It's C. All right, here we go. This is March to Salvation. It's just so dark at the beginning. Yes, you are in 6.8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost has that like Irish jig type of sound. Speaking of Irish jigs, how about an Irish swig? Let's see where we're at with our music here. Well, I would like to thank all of you for tuning in tonight. This has been the Getting It Done podcast, episode 316, in which we focused on all things having to do with making the transition to becoming an adult. I am your host, Tim Rausenberger. It has been a plum-pleasing pleasure to be able to spend the evening with you as we hear this dark, haunting music. As we are going to be ending tonight's episode, we're going to do things slow motion. Going to go very slowly as we end the episode, because that's what I feel with the music. Are my eyes even blinking at this point? Looks like we are coming to the end of the episode. I would like to thank everyone for participating. And at this point, I just have one final word for you. And I think you know what that word is. It comes right now. Peace.